Hi friends, it's Jenny. This is Becky Foster's channel and I am her sister Jenny. And in case you haven't, seen me here before, you are not on the wrong channel. This is Becky's channel, but she has decided to share it with me. And so I'm going to be creating regular content here on her channel. I am going to be doing something a little bit different tonight. Oh, but first off, thank you to everyone who wished me well. I am recording this Thursday night, actually early Friday morning. My back is feeling so much better. So thank you very much for all of the well wishes. I'm feeling so much better. I'm definitely up for doing some fun making. I want to play with beads tonight. We're going to be doing something a little bit different. So I will definitely get back to my bracelet trios that you guys all love next week. I have some ideas for that, several ideas over the next few weeks actually to make bracelet trios from various collections that we haven't done yet. And this is also not Becky's version of a bracelet bash where she would make one design and then use that design or concept to make like 6 or 7 bracelets from all the different bead boxes and subscriptions that she has. This is a little bit different. I think I talked a little while ago, I think when I did the larva kite donut necklace, and then I've also said it before, even before I was making tutorials, that sometimes I have an idea or a concept that needs to percolate, sometimes for a couple of months or longer. And this is one of those things where, because I had something I wanted to do, I was trying to figure out how I wanted to do it, and I just really wasn't getting there. I couldn't even look at anything else in the box to make something with separately. So tonight I am going to do a Bernie's bracelet bash. I don't know how many of you remember that Becky got the friend mail from Heather Aston when she started doing the live sales with Bernie beads. Heather had sent her quite a few selections, mostly pink, as you can see, to share with me because Becky was coming for a visit. And so there is an unboxing that I will link in the comments where Becky goes over everything that she got in detail with the list, because each packet was labeled by Heather so that we'd know what we were getting. And in fact, this is one of the labels, and I'll get to that in a minute. And so when Becky was here before she left, we divvied up the strands and I picked the things I was most interested in making with. And one of the things that we did is there were these vintage clear skunk beads. They're often called white skunk beads, even though they were a translucent base, that I was really fascinated with. There's so much history in these, and I'll get to that in a minute. But I had an idea of turning these into a bracelet. And so I actually took most of these beads, and Becky took a couple to be able to make earrings. And I've been just kind of thinking about it. I've been wanting to learn more about it. So I did a little research and I learned a little bit more about what skunk beads are, why they're called skunk beads, so that I could give them the respect they deserve. And so once I started getting like ideas flooding in for that, and I rewatched Becky's unboxing of this, and I started to get excited about like everything in this box. I'm like, why don't I just make a bunch of bracelets, not just my skunk bead, antique bead bracelet, but some of these other ones with these fantastic shimmering pink beads, these shells that I just fell in love with, these really cool chevron beads that when you string them, they'll look like stars. Just like, so there's all kinds of this beautiful like magenta tiger's eye, there's so many really cool, beautiful beads in here. And so it's just kind of like, okay, now I'm feeling super creative with all of this. So tonight we're going to play with beads, and I am going to just keep making bracelets until I feel like I'm done. But I do want to start with these I mean, they're beyond vintage. These are antique. These are Venetian skunk beads, and they're called skunk beads because most of them, the bulk of them, are black with white spots. These ones are white, and they have kind of like a pink and aqua little dots on them. They were also called eye beads, and they were mass produced in the 18th and 19th centuries. So these beads are at least 100, 150 years old. And they were created by basically, the merchant of Venice, the merchants in Venice. They created these skunk beads and they became, or eye beads, and they became currency. They were trade beads. They developed them specifically for trading with countries in East Africa. And in fact, these were found in Ethiopia. So they are Venetian beads that through all the different trade and all the centuries of hands passing over them were used as a currency. A lot of the tribes in those countries viewed skunk beads as being very important, and they would keep them. They were a sign of prestige. They would hold spiritual meaning. There was so much that goes into these, and I encourage you to look it up because I'm just giving you a very, very brief overview. So I'm currently kind of picking out the ones that still have the most amount of color in them, because some of them, like this one, is so, let me get this to focus, is so old and has so much, earth just ingrained in this bead that these spots are mostly brown. So I am kind of picking and choosing the ones that have retained their color a little bit better. And I want at least 5 of these beads. But that's actually how you can tell that these are genuine antique skunk beads instead of reproductions, which they do make reproductions, because they have this, they're worn, they're a little bit chipped, they've been weathered, and this discoloration is just the dirt of the ages just totally getting ingrained into the bead. So that's how you can tell that these are genuine. So I did a little bit of learning. I'm sure there's more things that can be learned, but I did a little bit of learning. I might do something with the other ones that have less color at another point, but today I think I want these guys. I do need one more. I want an odd number of beads just because that makes me happy. Now, I've thought of a couple of different ways that I might want to do this, and I guess I should go over my tools because I'm about to start getting into supplies and just going off. And these will be linked in the description. I am going to be using, if I do any wire working, the Casual Comfort set of wire working tools. I will be using flesh cutters, magical crimping pliers. I am most likely going to be stringing all of the designs tonight just to keep them simple. But I also have, I actually remember to get them this time, some memory wire cutters so that if I cut the chain, which I'll tell you what I'm doing with that in just a bit, then I'm not, dinging my flesh cutters, which I have been advised, I have been warned, it's something I need to do. But to make things easy on myself tonight, instead of trying to measure exact or do a fancy clasp, I am going to be using my little circle of lobster claws that I have in various metal tones, as well as a selection of wire, again, in various metal tones, that I can use basically as extender chains, so that I don't have to be as precise in the length, and we spend less time doing that. So I'm probably going to be stringing on probably one of these 3 wires. Bone is what I'm going to be using on this one, but there's ones that I may choose to use the fluorite. And also I really am thinking of making something with these chevron beads, and I think this spinel color would be perfect with those. So those are the colors that I've set aside for my soft flex. And they're all the medium size, which is the size that works best in those magical crimpers, the 0.018 to 0.019, and these are 0.019. So I'm just gonna take some of this and I'm going to be stringing some of my ideas on it. One of the things I first thought of was using some of these beautiful pink shell beads to see if that would bring out the pink, but I wondered if next to, let me put a few on and then a skunk bead, I wondered if they would be too crisp and clean. Does that make sense? Because there's this age. I don't want to disrespect these skunk beads by putting them with something that is going to make them feel dumpy, you know? So like this, I think the discoloration of the bead itself stands out more with that pink shade. So I dug into my deep stash for what I think is going to be a better option for these. I'm going to come back to these pink Heishis later. I think they're going to be fantastic with something else. I dug into my deep stash and got some of my bone beads. I don't even remember where I got these, but I've been carrying these around for, gosh, at least like 20 years. I do think that I want to use like an antique bronze, and I'm leaning towards these guys for spacer beads. These are smaller, but I like how these are kind of flat. They've got kind of this flat edge to them. And I think that that's gonna feel right with the skunk beads, that none of them are perfectly round anymore. So they'll have a little bit more shape to them. But I don't wanna put the metal spacers right up against the antique glass. So what I'm thinking is using the antique bronze and then some of these, and I do have shells that bone beads that are in more of a rondelle shape. These ones are some of the thinner Heishi size. So then I can put maybe 3 Heishis and then a skunk bead. Or even if I just do 1 Heishi. Let's see what 1 Heishi does. Because it's a softer material to be up against that glass bead that, gosh, it's already been through a lot. I don't need to put it through more, right? So I'm thinking maybe something like this that is going to give them a little bit of a showcase, but not make them feel like the frumpy girl at the party. Like all of this looks weathered, like weathered right alongside it. And I think that this is what I want to do. I'm going to be protecting, like I said, the skunk beads by using the bone beads. But I'm also going to be using some of that metal to lend itself, and so that it's not just beige tones. I don't want this bracelet to just be beige tones. I want your eye to be drawn by the contrast in color to the important part of this, which is, like I said, these skunk beads or eye beads. So I'm going to string a few on here and kind of see what that's looking like. And make sure that it's what I want to do. And they're like these bone Heishis are not in any way uniform, and that's okay. I don't need them to be. I just need them to be that cushion between the metal spacers. And also to give it that same authentic feel, because while these bone beads were not used as trade beads, prior to these eye beads, the most common trade beads were bone beads or shell beads. And so to use bone beads in this feels like paying homage to a time when that was the currency. That's how trade happened. I am really, really loving this. I feel like this is doing exactly what I want it to do in drawing your eye to the beautiful and unique skunk beads while not like distracting by being too flashy. You get a muted metal with those, the antique bronze. And that makes me happy. So I'm gonna see how long this is after I get all of these on. And I am liking not loading this up too much with the bone beads either. Like one on each side is plenty. But we'll see what our length says. I might be grabbing more of the skunk beads to continue the pattern. But the ones that have the most color are gonna be on, you know, the more focal part of the, away from the clasp of the bracelet. So I think this is gonna be almost perfect. I might just use some extra spacers or bone beads at the end where I'm getting ready to clasp. But I wanna get these on here. Oops, I forgot a heishi. Let me put that on. I bet someone saw that, said, no, Jenny, you're protecting those precious beads. And I do know that I want about 17 to 18 centimeters of beaded length, and I am just past 14. I do have an extender chain that I can use. How long is one of these repeats? One repeat is 2 centimeters. So I could add one more repeat on the end over here. It just won't be, and like, it doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be an odd number. I just like odd numbers. I think this one is a good one for still having retaining some of the pink tones in it. I'll do one more repeat of this pattern. And I'm so happy to finally make this. I'm sure Heather has been wondering why we haven't made things from this yet. I know for me, I was blocked up because I needed to do something with this before I could do something with the rest of it, because this was something I wanted to do, and this is the kind of effect I wanted to have with it. I am loving this so much. If I was better with leather or cord, I might have even done this on that type of material. But I'm not yet. I haven't practiced those things. So I am doing what I know I can handle. And I think that this is perfect. I'm just gonna add an extra 2 spacers on either side of this. So I'll add the other 2 when I crimp the other side, just to finish off the end next to the crimp. Now I don't have antique bronze crimp tubes, but I will probably use, I think I will use gold. Gold is bright. I don't really have anything. The only thing I have that's not bright is gunmetal, but that I don't think will look right. I don't think gunmetal will look right. So a tiny bit of gold on the ends, I don't think is going to be terribly bad. Yeah, I don't like the gunmetal for that. But a little gold one I think will be fine. A little gold one will be fine. Now, Heather is still definitely working with Bernie's beads. In fact, she just had a live bead sale on Wednesday. I'll put a link to the most recent bead sale in the comments below. And it's okay if you are not on the bead sale live. If you watch it on replay, you can always email Heather at Titi's Trinkets and Treasures at gmail.com to let her know what you want to order, and she can hook you up. She can hook you up. She's happy to help accommodate that. So I will definitely be linking to Heather's video where she's done her most recent thing, and then also I suggest that you go ahead and subscribe over there so that you can know when the next bead sale is with Bernie's Beads there in Mesa, Arizona. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to be using, I was going to use jump rings to attach these, But I think I'm going to continue to make this simple on myself. I'm going to go ahead. No, I'm going to use jump rings. I'm going to use jump rings to attach both the chain and the clasp. And I'm just checking to make sure I haven't made this too long. I really don't think I have. No, between the clasp and the extender chain, we should be just fine. It'll be just right. Now for this first one, I'm going to use this several times throughout this video, but for this first time, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to use the magical crimper in case you've never used it before. It is Beki's favorite way of crimping. It's also my favorite way of crimping. A big part of that is that the fewer metal components I have to deal with, the better. I have metal allergies, but it's also really easy. I don't have to use crimp covers because it makes a nice little ball, almost like a tiny bead at the end. I don't know if you noticed, I am not using a wire guardian because the Soft Flex has this really fantastic coating on it that it doesn't kink, it doesn't break, it's not going to wear like you would have to worry about other wire doing. So I skip the wire guardian. Beki's never had a problem with it, so I'm following her lead happily. So in the magical crimper, and again, you want to make sure that you're only using this size wire, it's made to work with that, and a 2x2 crimp tube. The quality of your crimp tube does matter. You need to make sure it's one that has a nice, decent wall on it, because thinner wall crimp tubes will just crumple and not do what they need to do. So these are the crimp tubes from Soft Flex, and they work great for this. There's a little concavity in the magical crimper, and you're going to center your crimp inside that concavity. And then once you've got it positioned, just give it a little squeeze. And then turn it 90 degrees so that it's, straight up and down. Your next squeeze is going to compress that. It's because you've got, it pinches down the corners and gives you a little ravioli time. And so your next squeeze is going to be at 90 degrees. Just make sure that it is still centered. And sometimes it's easier to do that by just opening the pliers and rotating rather than pulling it away. I pulled it away to show you, but when you're doing it, you don't need to do that. And then you're just going to keep squeezing around. And this one, the direction doesn't really matter. You just squeeze until, just keep rotating, little squeezes, until you don't feel any resistance on that squeeze. And that is when it has made itself into a little ball of crimp that fits just right inside that concavity. You can take a look at it. If you have any edges you need to work out, you can, but this is my little ball of crimp. And I'm gonna go ahead, the holes in these spacers I used are plenty big to just tuck that wire into, so I'm going to. All right, so I'm going to snip off the other end of my wire. I had it still on the spool. I'm gonna leave enough to crimp and also to add 2 more spacer beads. And I already put away my spacer beads because I was a silly girl. Two spacer beads and then a crimp tube. And here, when it's down like this, because all of these are kind of warm tones, that little gold crimp bead doesn't really stand out that much. So I'm fine with that decision. Ready or not, you are too. I do want to get a little bit of, I'm getting the cord through a couple of these spacer beads. You want to curl your bracelet so that you don't end up with a stiff bracelet. And get this positioned so that you can just get a similar size. I am really happy with how this turned out. This is even better than I thought it was going to be. I feel like it fits the right tone. Like this fits the right tone for these beads. It doesn't try to do something ostentatious around it that makes them feel, old and worn, because they are literally old and worn. It embraces that. It celebrates that. So just gonna finish getting this crimp done. I ended up with a little bit more space than I wanted to in that bracelet. That's okay. No, I don't like that. Shoot, there's not really a way to fix that either. I shifted it too much, and while I was positioning the thing, I didn't realize that I had, like, I've got a big gap. That's a big gap. That's more than I want. When I curve the bracelet, it's not as bad, but you know, this is also why I chose a very specific colored beading wire to go with this. And it's just gonna have to do. I may restring it if I wear it and it bothers me. Snip off the excess. Yeah, if I wear it and it bothers me, then I will just restring this. I have more wire. I have more crimp tubes. I'm just getting out some, just gonna do some of these small ones, some small jump rings to attach. There we go. To attach the clasp. So I've got my little lobster clasp. Sorry about banging the camera just now. The jostle, it probably shook it a little bit. So, yep, first thing I'm doing is getting the clasp attached. Just open that jump ring, just swing it open. When I was first learning how to do things a couple decades ago, I did it all wrong and just like wrenched it open, like trying to open a book. This is more like swinging a door open on a hinge. And then for my antique bronze, I have, this is from Bead Box Bargains. This is nickel-free wire, CH wire 524. And it's this oval shape. I think this is called cable chain. And I'm just gonna take a length of it. It doesn't have to be much. We'll just take about that much. Man, I had a bit of chain that just went somewhere because I wasn't holding on to it. And I probably could have swung that open, but I didn't. And then I'm gonna attach this with the jump ring as well. Got the other end of my bracelet on, and then one link of the chain, one end of that chain section. Make sure that's closed nice. If your jump rings aren't quite closed, soft flex is thin enough that it can squeeze through if you have a gap. But let's see if I can get this attached on camera, because you know that's the way we do things, right? I should have checked this. I checked a different one earlier. There we go. Gosh, I can use this without even using extender chain, because it ended up being almost the perfect length to attach this to the jump ring instead of the chain. I'm not going to take off the chain because someone else might wear this, or I might want to wear it more loosely, but this is actually attached to the, and this is how I like it to fit, where it kind of can roll gently on the wrist. But I'm really happy. I'm really happy with how this one turned out. I may end up taking that chain off just because, and I think a big part of why this is fitting without having to use extender chain is because I did get a little bit extra give on my on my wire. So you can see a little bit more of the wire peeking through when you look for it. So may or may not get restrung, but that is using those antique trade beads that were made in Venice. They're Venetian, and actually they were made in a different region of the Venetian Republic at the time. I think it was a republic, Venetian Republic. Anyway, they're Venetian, not specifically from Venice, but they are Venetian, and found in Ethiopia. I think that really turned out. So I'm just going to leave that on for now while I make other bracelets. Hope you don't mind. But I'm going to go ahead and move some of these things out of the way that we used for this first bracelet and kind of play around with some other beads, because why not, right? Why not? Okay, let's take a look in my box again. I think the next thing that I really want to do is I have to make something with these super bright pink sparkly things. I just have to. Do I want them next, or do I want them? Because I have ideas. I have ideas on doing a lot of these things. Let's go with these guys first. So these are the chevron beads. I'm going to pull out a bunch of them. And I am going to pair these with these buffalo horn, they're little rondelles. Well, they might be heishis. Yeah, they're heishis. I think Heather was clarifying that on her most recent bead sale, the different shapes. This might technically be a rondelle because it's rounded and not straight along the edge. So they're just more flat than round. Yep. Just grabbing a whole bunch of these. I don't know how many of them I'll use, so I'm just grabbing all of those out of there. And then I'm going to use my scoop for these buffalo horn heishis, which I may use in another design as well. I've got my eye on them. I like the contrast that they do. And this one, I am going to go ahead and switch my beading wire to the spinel. I think that's all of the beads I want out of here. And I may not add any metal to this aside from, you know, the clasp at the end. Yeah. So I think what I want to do on these, and I just mix them all up, and that's okay. I like seeing them all together. I'm getting ideas. All right. So let's do I think that it's too close if I just do one on each side, like just alternating between the two beads. I think that might be too close, but maybe 3 heishis between. This is me playing. You know, I like to say, don't forget to play. That's what we're doing right now. We're playing with beads. And this is how they... Sorry, I have a lot of beads on my mat because of right now. I like them this close. I actually don't think that looks terrible. And I know I have a lot of these beads. I think I can actually do that. I don't think I need to spread them out that much. Let me get a few more strung and check that again. Because I gotta see a couple of inches to see how I feel about it. All right, there's the ladybug dish. Okay, I'm gonna hold this up against the ladybug dish and try to block out as much of the else is on here so you can see how that looks. I actually kind of like that. I kind of like that. I don't feel like I need to spread out these beads. So I'm not going to. I'm just going to use these guys to give them a little bit of space and to differentiate. Just alternating. This is probably going to be a very quick one for that reason. I don't have to worry too much about my pattern. Very easy to check. I'm just checking the length real quick, seeing where I am. Yep, definitely need a little bit more. Yeah, I'm not even coming close to using all of those with even just the little heishi in between. I almost stacked 3 heishis together between each of these, but I don't know. I like this better. I like it. And how cool is that? It's got some really cool patterns. I love red and black together. They were my high school colors. I'll admit that. So I'm a little bit partial. But I think these are also really interesting looking beads. These are, again, more unique. So I want them to be the main attraction. A little bit more. And I think that this one, because it is like the red and black, and I'm not using any other metals for spacers and stuff, I think I actually will use the gunmetal chain clasp and crimp tubes. I think that will be appropriate for these guys. Okay, I'm getting out one of my bracelets I made before, and I know how it fits. And just double checking that I'm not just making it too long in general. So this is from one of my trios. That should look a little familiar if you've watched any of those. I use tiny clasps on those. So with the extender chain, I think I'm actually going to go for a little bit smaller beaded length so that I don't have as much potential issue with too loose of a fit. Like I do like the way that this is fitting on my wrist right now. Like I said, because of the too much thing, I think I probably am going to end up restringing this, but I will do that not on this video. I'm just going to restring it exactly how it is here. I won't change any of that. But I think I want a little bit shorter beaded length than I did on my bracelet trios, because I think the clasping itself just takes more space. And I will have the extender chain to make up any difference in that. So look, I still have all of these right here. So I can do more with this at some other point. I'm definitely going to be using these heishis later. I have been thinking that those bright, light, sparkly pink ones need to be offset with black. So I think I'm going to use those for that. But I wanted to make sure I had enough for this one first. So that's why I started with those. For my gunmetal chain, just to show you guys, I'm using chain number 659. This is also a nickel-free chain, or hypoallergenic. It may be that it's the high-grade stainless steel, but it is also a little bit of a oval shaped kind of cable chain. So I'll cut off a section of that. And I bumped the camera again. So sorry, guys. I'm doing a slightly different setup. My camera's actually in the same place, but I did get a second light. But because I'm still sitting at my kitchen table, I can't really position it where it will do the most benefit, because it not only has to be on an opposite side of the table from my current light, it also needs to be close to a plug. So it's maybe a little bit too far to be fully effective, but I do think that my mat tonight is a little bit brighter than some of my previous videos. So hopefully that's the case. Hopefully you agree. And this is just doing the crimping, made my loop. Not quite done, a little bit more. And that's the thing, if you are doing the magical crimper and you've done like 4 presses and you think you should be done, but there's still something that's wrong, that's okay. You can just keep crimping around it. You can work it out until it's how you need it to be. There's nothing wrong with just working at it a little bit longer if it's not doing what you want. Go ahead and snip this off my wire. And I think this is the only one I'm going to be doing on this spinel color, but it is perfect for these beads. So I'm really happy with that choice. If this wire shows through, it's not a big deal. It will look nice. Oh, don't be silly. There we go. My wire was being silly. I had to admonish it. Here we go. Just spending a little bit of time adjusting, getting this where I want it. And the reason that I didn't do this as a bracelet trio, like I've been doing a lot of my things, is because while a lot of these things do coordinate together, none of them really lend itself well to like the convertible aspect of the bracelet trio, where you can, you know, stack the 3 bracelets together or wear it as a bracelet and a choker or a longer necklace. None of these bracelets are really going to work well with that plan. And so I just want to make a bunch of bracelets, and you might mix and match, or I might mix and match which ones I stack with it. But I thought it would be kind of fun and interesting to do it this way. So here you are. Oh, my gunmetal rings are here. I think there are all those. Okay. Gunmetal rings are here, and I'm gonna go ahead and get out a lobster claw, which I will test before I attach it. I mean, that is the other reason why I'm doing this with jump rings. And then cutting off a small section of this chain. Because I don't need much. And let's get these attached. And we will be done with bracelet number 2. And I don't know how many I'm doing. I don't know. So hang out with me for as long as you like to hang out. Take a break, go get a drink, come back, do what you need to do. I'm just gonna be up tonight making some pretty bracelets from these Bernie's beads that Heather gave to Becky and I. And watch out for sometime next week. She's a bit busy this weekend, so I'm recording early Friday morning. You'll probably see it on Saturday. That's where it currently fits in the schedule. Becky has a visitor at her house this weekend, and so she's not going to be creating as much content. She's pre-recorded a little bit, and she might get on and do some. We're still planning on doing our late night beading, but which you won't see this until after the late night beading has taken place, but that's okay. That's okay. Anyway, I am going to bounce this back to Becky with a challenge because I know that she has some of all these beads as well. I'm going to go ahead and try the other bracelet. I am challenging her to make coordinating, not matchy-matchy, but coordinating earrings for the bracelets that I'm making tonight. I think that'd be fun. How would you like that? Bracelet bash with Jenny and like an earring blitz with Becky? Here we go. Here's this one on my wrist. And I am utilizing more of the actual extender chain there just to fit the way I want it to. Nice and loose, where it's got a little bit movement up and down the wrist. That's the way I like to wear it. It may not be how you like to wear it, and that's okay. That is 100% okay. So we've got that one done. So I'm gonna put these chevrons back in the box, but I'm gonna keep the Heishis out. And I am going to get out my pink beads. I need to do something with these pink beads. I'm probably also, because I'm using the same Heishis, I'm probably also going to use gunmetal for the chain and crimps on this one as well. So we've got, looks like 6mm rondelles. These are all rondelles, I think. 6mm rondelles. Those 8mm rondelles and 6. I'm so bad at knowing at a glance. And then these little guys that look more like they're 4mm, and these ones may actually be rounds. I don't think they're rondelles. If they are, it's a very, very slight difference. They look more round to me. I'm just getting a few of each because I would love to use all of them at once, but I don't think I can. Not without doing like a whole bunch of strands. But I love these seashells right here so much. I'm going to use a few of these in the design as well because they've got this green, this pink and green combination that matches with the pink in these. Like these are friends, and I want them to hang out in the same space. So I'm going to get out a few of those, and we're going to just play. Like I said, I love to sometimes you just have to get out your beads and play with them. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. I may or may not use the Heishis. At first I was thinking I wanted them to contrast so that it wasn't just, you know, the pink beads on the bracelet, but I'd forgotten that I wanted to use those shells. Let me play around with an idea that uses just the shells, and I'm going to use this green. It's kind of a pale green toned fluorite color, just to, you know, pull in some of the green that we're already working with. That seems to be the color for this one. And I may come back to the Heishis. I may. But I want to see what this looks like if I kind of just build a fun pattern that uses these stacked together in that graduated pattern, and then a shell, And I'm gonna do this one facing out because the shell goes top to bottom from the fan to the base. So it strings like this. And I'm putting some on here and then seeing how I feel about it. And then, oh, maybe this is where I want the hashies. Maybe they become a different part of the pattern. Then I'm gonna stack 3 of these hashies together where the base of that shell is, and then put another shell facing the opposite direction, like this. Maybe. And then mirror the graduated pattern that I did with my pink beads, my super pink sparklers. I think it does need some dark to kind of ground it. And I am happy with this, I think. So this is my pattern. Let me get it on a, here we go. That's gonna be easier to see. Yeah, that will be easier to see. I like that. And that by itself is like a solid 5 centimeters. So I'm only gonna be doing this. I do want something though real quick. So in this one, I should have some hematite rounds. Are those the hematite or are those just stainless steel? Nope, these are the hematite. I do want these hematite because I don't want to use the hashies in that part of the pattern next to the tiny pink beads. So I'm grabbing these ones. These are SPC 1754. I'm not sure if they're still available, but they are, again, a nickel-free finding. So I know I can use it. So I'm using that before I turn around and repeat the pattern again, just mirror it. And I think that this is going to be the perfect length to do this, the total repeat 6 times, or 3 times. So using 6 shells and 9 hashies and just, these fun. This is not at all what I had planned, but I am actually, I'm low-key loving this. This is a super fun pattern. That it just plays. It just plays. And I love it. It's pink and sweet. And it plays with dimension by doing the graduated beads to a little, because this spacer is smaller than the smallest pink bead. So it continues that kind of pinch, which again, easier to see with the pink against my ladybug dish. Oh, yes. But these with the fun faceting, and they're just so shiny, and I love them. I love them. I saw them and I had to have them. When Beki unboxed this, I had my eyes on these guys. I was like, you're supposed to share these with me? Okay, I know what I'm picking. And there were so many, we split the strands. So Beki also has these because they're also something that she loves. I am just making sure that I'm not overshooting. I'm not. This is going to be, it might be, I will adjust if I need to. If I need to take off the small pink beads on the very ends, I will. But this is I think what I want this bracelet to be. Okay, so this is, yes, this is the perfect length. This is the perfect length, friends. I'm so excited. This is right at 16 centimeters, which I'm going to be using some of that gunmetal chain for an extender chain so that I can just leave this at this perfectly balanced collection of shiny sparkly beads. And I kind of adore them. I do. All right, getting out some more gunmetal crimp tubes. This one was a quick one, guys. I found what I wanted to do with it very quickly. So that's pretty good. I think we're just getting close to an hour right now and already have 3 bracelets made. If you've watched Beki's bracelet bashes, I'm kind of on par with how she does. And I'm not done. I still have ideas for at least 2 more bracelets. Possibly 3 more bracelets. We'll see. All from this collection of beads that Heather gifted to us from Bernie's Beads. And honestly, it's really fun. Like, if you go back to, maybe I'll put a link to that too. We did a Beading Besties live with Heather not long after Beki opened this, and she was coming to visit. And we were talking about, you know, the some of the options that were going to be in here and what were our favorites and stuff like that. And Heather told some fun stories about how Bernie just got so excited about finding beads that Beki needed to have. So this one might have got a little bit mangled. I may not have been centered. That is the one thing that if it does get too mangled and you mess with it and you just can't fix it, maybe it wasn't centered. If you've never been able to get a good crimp, regardless of crimp quality, like the tube quality and everything, it's possible that you have a defective crimper. My first crimper was a defective one. But yes, I was able to smooth that out, so I'm happy. And we're gonna just rinse and repeat. Get this other side snipped. Whoop. This is what happens when you use your crimper for stainless steel chain and get it dinged up a little bit. Oops. Or pins. I had some stainless steel pins I was using in a video that posted earlier this week that I should have been using the memory wire cutters, but they were in another room. And yeah, excuses, right? Am I wrong? All right, a little bit of give on there, but just a little. I'll get this guy crimped. And this is what I mean about just opening it wide enough to twist. Like, you are actually opening it, but you're not removing it from where you're spinning it around to make the circle. Sometimes that's easier because if you've got it centered to begin with, you don't want to come back and squeeze it when it's not centered because then it'll get mangled as well. So just, you are opening it when you turn it, but you're opening it just enough to turn it, not to lose its position. One of those tips that Beki gives and I follow, and it's good advice. Beki gives good advice. She just does. All right, I need my gunmetal. My gunmetal guys again. Oh, let me get out a clasp. Checked it. It opens. It does its thing. And this is where I was talking about earlier, where do you see how there's just a tiny gap there? The wire can get through that, so I just kind of push in a little bit with one set of pliers to make sure that that metal meets right where it needs to and that there's no gap. That's what I was talking about earlier. How many links did I had 7 links earlier on my extender chain. So I'm just going to do the same again because that seemed to be right for this chain. There's 7. I'm just gonna snip this one in between. I could open and close it. It is split, so you can do that with these, but sometimes it's just easier to snip the link between what you want and what you don't want. But you can open them if you choose to do it that way. All right, we've got this guy. See, I just keep trading my bracelets. Like, I make a new bracelet, I put that one on, and I wear it while I make more. Because I have to see how it looks on a wrist, right? I mean, we do our weekly recap try on, and I cover that then, but it doesn't hurt to do that right now as well. So, taking off my chevron bracelet and setting that with my first bracelet. We've got 2 done. And now we've got, whoops, hang on to part of this chain with my fingers, because that's the other reason to use a extender chain. And this one I probably could make fit by getting the jump ring, but I like that looser fit, so having the extender is perfect for that. But look how sweet that is. So sweet. A little bit delicate, and I love this, guys. This turned out pretty well. I'm pretty happy with that one. So that's my sparkly pink and seashells. Oh, leaving that one on while I make the next bracelet, because that's what we're doing tonight. That is what we're doing tonight. And yes, we just passed 1 hour, six bracelets in 1 hour, and the first part of this video was actually pointing out some of the things in the box and talking about what we were going to be doing tonight. So I am feeling like I'm doing pretty good. So let me get my box back over here, my chain back in its baggie. I might be done with the black, but I don't know yet. I do know that I'm probably done with these guys, at least for now. Oops. I put them in the right place. See, and I still have so many of these beads that I can make other fun things. I can make necklaces. I can definitely do more. One of the other really cool things in this box, let me look at things from the perspective of using the Heishis. What I might do, what do you guys think about doing, not that I can see your replies, but these are black cherry blossom agate, these beads here. What about using a combination of the pink shell Heishis and the black buffalo Heishis with those? Huh. I kind of like that idea. So yeah, we're doing more black. We're doing more black because I want to play with that idea. And if I start putting it together and I don't like it, then we'll just switch to another idea. But I think that that could be a lot of fun. So we are not done. Not done with those. So I need to get out some of these pink shell Heishis, which I also love. They're beautifully toned. And then I may as well get out the rest of these guys because, you know, I'm actually using quite a bit of them. I knew that I would. That's one of the reasons why I told Becky I wanted them, because I knew that I would use those. And then these are the cherry blossom agate. And it's because the pinks in these, when it is there, is more of like soft, earthy tones. They're not strong pinks in these. And so using it with this combination of Heishis, I think could be really nice. I just need to figure out how I want to position them on the strand. So I'm just kind of getting out all the beads. I have plenty to make a bracelet. But let's see how these go. I'm having so much fun with this. Okay. Okay, and I hope you're having fun too. This is my first ever actual like bracelet bash. Like, let's just make a bunch of bracelets. Just make a bunch of bracelets. Okay. For this, I think that I need to go with the bone color. It is a little bit more neutral. I could also, I do have a black, but it's hard to see in this lighting to make sure that I'm actually grabbing the black and not, because they're not all labeled. Some of, like my black, I think is one that wasn't labeled. It was an old one. It doesn't say the color on it. I think it's this guy. This guy. Oh, it does say this is black onyx. I'm going to use black onyx because I like that better than using, I could use the bone. The bone is fine, but I think the black onyx is going to feel nicer. And again, we'll finish this with the gunmetal. So let's get some of this out and start kind of stringing some ideas. So I feel like the size of these beads, these stone beads, means that I'm not going to have a lot of size variation along the strand unless I also include some other metal spacers or different size beads. Just playing with this idea. I don't think it's the direction that I want to go, but I'm just going to get out some of these tiger's eye. I think this is the wrong kind of pink, and I think I will not like the shell when I'm using that pink. But I'm gonna play with this. I'm gonna play with this idea. So what if I start with some of these buffalo horn heishes and then some pink shell. And then one of the black cherry blossom agate. I'm seeing the way this is first. I think that's too much of the shell together. I think. I'm just getting a certain length strung so I can decide if I like it. I think going light on the pink shell heishes is a good plan. All right, so this is one mirrored pattern right here. Let me get this on the ladybug dish and hold it up to the camera. And I'm so used to doing this kind of design on the fly on a live where you guys can give me your feedback. I think if the tiger's eye was right up against the heishes, I wouldn't like them, but I actually do kind of like this. So I'm gonna keep going with this idea, and it just intersperses a few of these larger tiger's eye in the pattern. Let me get it on there a couple of times to see what we really think of it. And I'm not being picky about which of the agate I'm picking up. You know, some of them are going to be more brown, some of them are going to be more black, some of them are going to have more of those kind of peachy pink tones in it. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. All right, so we've got, yeah, I didn't think I would like it. I didn't think I would like it, but again, I love this. I'm loving how this is turning out. Let me get a little bit more strung, and then I'm going to show you kind of looped on the dish. So as you can see, like, and this is one of the reasons why I say play with your beads. Look at it, throw around ideas, figure out if you want to be brave and try something that you don't think you're going to like. See what it looks like, because you might surprise yourself. You might surprise yourself. Like, trust your instincts to see what's there. Okay, this is, how fun is this? How fun is this? I would not have thought to, if I was just looking at the beads by themselves, I would have thought the tiger's eye didn't fit. But what a great setting this makes for the tiger's eye that uses all of these beautiful, you know, shell and buffalo horn and other stones. I think that's pretty. That's pretty and fun. I need to make sure that I can end how I want to end, though. So I do need to keep an eye on how long I'm going. One whole repeat of this is actually quite long. It's 4.5 centimeters, one entire repeat. So no, that's not an entire repeat. Hold on. From pink bead to pink bead. It's about 3 centimeters. So I have to keep that in mind as I'm like completing the pattern, that I'm know what I'm adding, you know. Trying to find the hole sometimes. A little bit tricky. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. I'm just checking my pattern. Yeah. Yeah. And I'll subtract or add to finish as needed. Like I might end with the agate bead, take the hishis off, because this is just, I was starting kind of in the middle of the pattern. So just, I will adjust as needed on both ends to get the length that I want. But this is currently a mirror of how I started. So I'm going to check that length. Oh, that one. I love all these beads. I'm like, grab that one because it's so pretty. Grab that one because it's so pretty. No, this is the mirror of it with this heishi. Okay. So if this is in the 16 millimeter range, I'm stopping. It is not, it's just shy of that. So I think if I add just one of these on either end and I crimp near the stone instead of the heishi, then that will finish it. And I think I'll like the way that looks better as well. So I need to add 1 stone before I crimp the other end, but I'm gonna crimp this end. Again, grabbing my, it's a good thing my sister recently got me some more crimp tubes because I am using them a lot. And I have them here if I need to get into those packages as well. So we'll get this guy crimped. I love that. It's not what I expected. I'm glad I didn't sit down and like plan everything out. That might annoy some of you because I'm like trying to figure it out as I go, but I do think that it's important to like see other people's creative processes while you're, you know, you use your own creative process, but I think we're creators. We like to be in a state of learning new things and trying new things. And I think seeing other people's creative processes might give you ideas that you might want to use in your own work. So I'm not going to apologize. You may have wished that I was more prepared and that this was a straight up tutorial, but most people hang out for Beki's bracelet bashes because they're spending time with Beki while she makes cool things, shares cool tips, gives good ideas. And I don't pretend to be Beki or at Beki's level, but I do feel like I have my own style and my own creativity, and I love that Beki welcomes that here on this channel from me. So I'm really happy. I'm really happy with this whole arrangement. It's amazing, and I love her, and she loves me, and that's the best part of all of this, is that we get to share this creation together. That's not something that we have had much in our past, and it's pretty special. We do not take it for granted. We do not. So just a tiny little bit more adjustment, and then I can crimp this other side. And then we'll do the same thing, 7 links of the chain, and another lobster claw. Beki would be so proud of me using all these lobster claws. Get this snipped off. All right, and I am trying to tidy as I go. I know I've got a lot on my mat, but I will move things as we move from one project to another. But I'm trying not to keep a bunch of, you know, jump rings sprawled out everywhere and all the other items that I've been using. Most of them are actually shoved off, except for what I was actively creating with. All right. Oh, I did not get and check a lobster claw yet. I was so just going ahead and doing things. Okay, yep, that one opens. That felt weird. Okay, that's fine. All right, and then I put this chain away because I thought I was done. I wasn't. I'm apparently just loving all the black tones tonight. I counted to 8. I was just having fun counting. I forgot I was stopping at 7. All right, moving those out of the way. And I'm not fully putting away that chain, because I might not be done with the gunmetal after all. Who knows? Because I am just having fun playing and coming up with ideas as we go, and just I'm making myself happy with how well these things are turning out. I knew I wanted to make. I knew I was getting great ideas. But I also knew I needed to see how it looked together. I think we all need that. We can have great ideas, we can lay it all out, and sometimes it goes exactly to plan. And other times, I've got a gap in this O-ring again, or jump ring again. Making sure I get that all the way closed. All right, so time to switch my bracelet, because that's what I'm doing, right? I'm wearing a bracelet while I make the next one. That was bracelet number 4 we just made. That was bracelet number 4. I think I might be going for 5 tonight. Maybe more, but I think 5. And we'll see. I'll see. Oop. I don't have a dangle on this, and I could clasp this on camera. I'm gonna try anyway, but it's being a little bit more stubborn, this one. I would want that actually tighter. I was having a hard time getting the lobster claw. I'm not used to using lobster claws. I have kind of weak nails, so I try not to do them too much. There we go. There we go. Ah, yes, I love that. I love the pop of color we get from these tiger's eye in what might otherwise be a fairly muted bracelet, which I was fine. That was my original plan, was the muted, but I love the tiger's eye in it. That has worked out really, really well. Okay. The other thing that I want to make with, so this is going to be number 5, and we might, like I said, we might go farther. I'm leaving Heishi's out for a moment, but I am done with these are pink foil beads from India beads. That they're, again, another vintage offering, and they're clear beads that have a little bit of sparkle to them, and they have just these little scraps of like pink gold foil. It's not gold, but it's like that. So it's like it's got this pink foil in it, so it catches the light. And this, I think, is the same kind of pink as we have in some of these guys, so I might use some of these with it. Another option that I considered was to use some of these little guys that are, I think they're shell. I don't remember what the shape is called, but they're kind of like this shape, but they've got, I don't know if it actually has a ridge or just it looks like it has a ridge. I don't know. They're really interesting. So I might use some of those, or I might use these, or I might use both. This is one where I'm probably going to go with like silver findings if I add some metals, which I probably will do. I'm leaning towards not using either of the Heishi options or Heishi options. So let me move them out of the way, because I think we are done with them. Yeah, I think we're done with them. So for this night of making, I can get them back out if I need to, but let's clear them out of our way so that they're not getting as distracting. There we go. I think I love this color, but I think this is not the right color. I think I do need to use these, but not the big ones. I might use like the small sparkly pinks, possibly the medium sparkly pinks, but I don't want to use the big ones on these because I want these to be the focus. So I am going to get into my findings, my silver findings, and get some spacers that we're going to want to use for those. I have a lot of silver spacers, so lots of great choices for that. And let's just, those are all caps. Let's just get these guys over here and dig around a little bit. So if I use, see, I do have these if we wanted to, because we've got this bracelet that uses these guys and it uses these green and pink shells. I actually have some silver shells that are essentially the same shape and could maybe kind of make these wearable for both. So I do have those. I also have I have some basic silver rounds. I'm going to get those out just because they're a good default to have on the table. We'll play around with the shells because maybe I will have a pair that can stack. I also, oh gosh, I love these. These are the Stardust spacers. I don't know if I want to use them on this bracelet though. They're beautiful, but they're not quite right for this. Those aren't quite right either. Possibly some lantern spacers, these guys. Maybe some lanterns. I do love a good lantern. And those are like the size that I would do if I did those. Gosh, these spacers are cool, but not for this design. They'll be fun for something else. All right. Let's get things out in play. So let me get out a few of these other beads. Yeah, these are the right kind of beads to pull to draw attention to the little pink foil in these glass beads. So I do want to use those. And get a few more of these. These are small enough that they're kind of like spacers. I don't think I'm going to use the shells. I think I'm deciding no on the shells. So it's either going to be the lantern beads or just the silver rounds. I like the shells, but if I was going to do shells, then I would just do more of these shells. So there's nothing wrong with that idea. But I'm not going to do the silver shells. Okay, so I have this open. I will grab these shells if I decide I want to play with that. In the meantime, open up these couple packages. The silver ones are just the silver rounds are SPC 1568. And these have come out under several numbers. These are nickel free. And then these are SPC 1579. And then we've got these, and I think that this one needs to go on, see, I thought I had like the only 3 colors I was gonna use. I've now used 4 different colors on 4 different bracelets. And I'm about to pull out a 5th color because I think that this one needs to be on, where is it? This, because it's so shimmery. It's light and it's shimmery. This is the 925 sterling silver extreme flex in medium, and it's got this kind of white pearly appearance to it that I think is just going to be lovely with this. It is one of my favorite colors of wire, and I will always take more. If you give me more, I will always take more of that because I love it. I love it. And I think the last time I used it, I actually had a length Nope, that's not long enough to do a bracelet. We'll do it from this. I do have a length that I can use for something else, but it'll probably be more like use it to make earrings or in some other way, because it is not long enough to do a bracelet. That was one of the things when I was doing it. It was enough to wrap around my wrist 3 times, but not enough to do all of the crimping and extra work that you needed to do a trio. That's what I used on my most recent trio, actually, that I did with the GGC trio. Okay, I am going to just start piling some beads on here and see how I like it. I might actually use both of these spacers. I don't have to use one or the other. I'm starting with the smaller spacer on the end, and I'm just going to kind of build out from there to see what I like and how I like it to come together. So I do have a limited number of the lanterns, so I have to be thoughtful of how I want to use it. So, and I have a total of 6 of these, but they are, I mean, just the silver with these pink beads is just, that's precious and I love it. It's just something I like. It's something I like, and I am not gonna run away from that. I don't think that I can really follow like a set pattern with these guys. I would prefer to have an odd number. I want to see how that length goes, and I can put them in roughly this order. The heart is top to bottom. There's a heart, 3 rounds, and 2 barrels, like this. So actually, let me just show you all of them on here. These are the guys I got. Get the barrels turned over so you can see their shape a little bit better. Yeah, those are the guys I got. So I'm going to set aside one of the rounds. They're kind of the odd guy out. Let's do a barrel. This is where I might run it. I need to keep track of how many I'm using in this pattern, because I don't have more of these lanterns. Four for each. 4, 4. Don't have enough to do that, so I need to do it. I need to use more of the small silver ones. Take this off. I'm just going to use them on either side of the India beads, and I won't use them in between the different sizes of pink. Because I won't have enough if I do it that way. So let me see how this goes. And yes, I got quiet, sorry. I'm figuring out the pattern as I go, and I'm wanting to I'm wanting to like it. I'm not sure yet. I am just not sure yet. I think that that's too long of a section between my India beads. So I'm going to eliminate some of this. Let's see if I like this better. This is the deep in thought portion of figuring this out. So I took out a small bead and 2 of the smaller spacers. This is a better spacing. It's still a big gap, but it's going to be too big of a gap to complete this pattern. So what if, instead of using the small spacers, I just stack those 3 together, which I'll have to fix on this end too. Hold on. This is the what can slow down your process, is second guessing, looking at how long things are going to be if you do the pattern that is like, oh, this is really pleasing, but it won't fit because bracelets do have to be a certain length, you know. Let me see. This adjustment does what I want it to. Trying to get to the next bead so that I can see how far apart they are, because I think that's, you know, an aesthetic thing. I want them close enough that they feel like they're part of the same bracelet and that it's not like just one bead by itself. I think this is better. I think this is better. The spacing is also going to be better for being the right length, for a finished length on this. So I'm going to do that. So I've got a barrel bead and then my spacer rondelle pattern that I am now repeating, and a round bead, and then this spacer rondelle pattern. And that's lantern, medium, small, medium on the rondelles, and then the lantern again. And then I've got my heart. And it's not a deep V at the top of that heart. So I feel like this spacer fits there just fine. I don't have to have a smaller one to fit that space. That was one of the things that I wondered about. And yeah, this is going to be a lot closer to the size that I want it to be. So I think that was the right choice. I'm just not using as many of the small ones, but that's okay because I'm using more of my sparkly pink beads, which they are doing what I wanted them to do, in that they definitely go with the flash of that pink foil. Sorry, jostled the camera again. I do need to get better about that. But I'm still learning, I'm still practicing. And just repeating my pattern again until we get to the end, and then I'll check my length just to be sure that I didn't over or underestimate significantly. That's not what I needed to do. I was not following my pattern. That was being a bad Jenny. And I do think that I'm probably going to end with 5 bracelets. That's what we've ended up doing so far. I could definitely make more. There's plenty in here. I've used most, but not all, of the different beads that were in this box. Yeah, I've used most. I've used some of most of this. There's a few that I haven't used yet that I could probably come up with another idea that incorporates it. But let's see how we feel when we finish this bracelet. Because as is usual for Beki's bracelet bashes on this channel. Oh, that's going to be too long. That is possibly too long. Shoot. Oh, except that I don't need to do that whole repeat. I just need to do these 3 beads. Maybe it's not too long. Maybe it's not too long. I was picturing the whole spacer rondelle pattern again, but it's half of the spacer rondelle pattern. In fact, I'm going to take off the small seed or the small spacer bead on the side. I ended up not using any in the pattern. We don't need one there. I can end with the small pink bead, and then do my clasp and extender chain for this. So now we're going to do the bright silver. And I think that the wire that I have set aside for this is actually more of a stainless steel tone. That's okay. I don't have a whole lot of bright silver in that size. Like stainless steel is one of the first chains that I was able to actually get in specific colors. And most of my chain is either going to be stainless steel or it's going to be antique silver, which is also not going to be the bright silver. So we're going to use this. Oh, no, not this. This is like a triple chain. It's a beautiful chain, but this is not what we need to use. I have some of this Figaro chain from my charm necklace that I did. I can use some of that. A small section of that would be really pretty, and it is more of the bright silver. Let's do that. I'll use some Figaro chain. And that's where I'm gonna want to snip it. Okay, and make sure this opens. A little bit stiff. But this, like right here, it's like already starting to, I have weak nails, so it's gonna shred my nail if I use a lobster clasp too much. That is one reason why I don't use them. Beki loves my nails. She's like, no, don't cover them up. So I don't have cute nails like Beki. But part of the downside of that is that I don't really have much in the way of protection for doing that. That's okay. And I've got some bright silver. Do these guys. All right. Oh, and where are my silver crimp tubes? Looking for the already open package of them. There they are. Come on, little guys. Just need a couple of you. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. It's delicate and light and bright, and I did use a lot of dark tones to offset my stuff earlier. Oh, that is not going to be a nice crimp. Let me see if I can rescue it. I was not centered. This is how you get a mangled crimp. I was doing so good. This is my 9th crimp of the night, so I think I can be forgiven if I mess one up. But I am trying to rescue it. This is the whole, just keep working at it and see if you can rescue it. And if you can't, if it's just going to be too rough and it's going to catch on your skin, then like this one is, see, it's it's not the worst it could be, but it's not good. It's not good. So I am choosing to abandon that crimp, which I can do because it's the first crimp of the bracelet, and make sure that I'm centered this time. I think it's like the end was in sight, so I was like, okay, hurry and do this, and then I'll be done. Not that I'm trying to hurry away, and but you know when you're like almost done with the thing, and you're like, okay, yeah, last step, last stretch, got this. All right. That was centered. I got a ravioli that time instead of like a weird cone shape. My first one, the one that I just cut off, it had done like, it had only crimped the bottom 2 corners and not the top. So it did not really want to recover from that. And this is much nicer, much nicer. All right. And I need to remember that I'm taking off the small spacer on this side because I decided that for length, I don't want it. And you know, honestly, the little crimp tube looks like a small silver bead on the end of it, so it would have been redundant anyway. Okay, get this guy centered. Do not mess this one up because then I have to restring the whole thing and waste my precious wire that I love. Because I love this color. They had it in the Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend design kit back in, I want to say February. I want to say that was February's box. And I just fell in love with it. So it needs to just be a permanent part of my stash now. Okay, I think that did what it was supposed to. All right. And I think I checked this. Yep. So let's get this last one all crimped, or the clasp attached and the chain attached. And then I'll move stuff off my mat enough to show you all 5 bracelets that we've made tonight. I do think I'm ending with 5. I can feel it. I'm like, okay, girl, you're done for the night. So I'm sure you guys can relate. But I had a lot of fun with this. Like I said, once I had a much clearer idea what I wanted to do with those antique beads, it was so much easier for me to start seeing what I wanted to do with the rest of them. Whereas before, every time I would look in the box, I'm like, I need to do something with those. I need to do something. Like my brain was fixated on it. I had to get that set aside and resolved. That's why we started with them tonight, because I knew that I needed to free up that creative energy, and that was how you do it. You got to exercise sometimes those creative demons. I don't think I like how that jump ring attached. not quite. There we go. It was being weird, and I didn't like it being weird. Now, there was definitely a theme when Heather put this box together for Beki, because she knows how much Beki loves pink. And so you're gonna see when I get all of the bracelets and stuff together, there's gonna be those same kind of elements throughout all of them. You gotta put it on, you know? Make sure you didn't really screw it up. Yep, and there we go. Yeah, see, this is the spacing that I wanted between those beads, and that ended up being perfect for getting 5 of them on that length. So I'm really happy with that. And it can actually probably stack with this guy. I know I use different color findings on it, but they're complementary. I think silver and gunmetal can look great together. And because this brings in the darker heishis and stuff, I think that it can probably also be worn. Possibly I got a trio out of this after all. I think you could possibly also wear it with this. I like it a little bit less. I think maybe I like it better as a duo. Or this is a duo. And then these two maybe together. Maybe those two together. I'm gonna take them off because I want to get an overhead view of all 5 bracelets. You could play around with this. I think the only one that doesn't necessarily go with another bracelet in the group is that first one, but I intentionally chose things that, like I said, had that same weathered, full of history feel to it, from the metal choice to the bone heishis. I felt like that just needed to be the thing. So let me get a few of these things out of the way. Bear with me for just a moment. You've hung out this long, hang out just a little longer. While I move bits and scraps and spacers. And I have 7 of those lantern spacers left. They're pretty much done. I can do like maybe some earrings or possibly a bracelet if I only use them sparingly around the focal. So those are pretty much, oh, there's one more up there. So I have a total of 8. I have 8 of the lantern spacers left. I mean, I used 10 of them on this other design, so I didn't have a ton to start with. And then we've got these guys going back in the box. But look at how much I've used out of this. Look at so much that I used. So I used some of this, these, and these. So the only ones I didn't use were these guys, these, and then these guys. Those are the only ones that I didn't use tonight. All right, so first we made this bracelet. And then we made this bracelet. And then we made this one. No, we made this one next. Hold on, it's not closed. I've forgotten what order I made them, but that's okay. This is roughly the order that I made them. So, are they all on screen? They're all on screen. Look at the fun things we made tonight. I hope you love this. I hope that you were inspired. I love making something that has like history to it, like these guys and these guys. So there's a lot that's really cool here. And I like the unexpected. Like, I didn't plan on using those tiger's eye here, but I love the tiger's eye here. I think that really worked out. So I hope that you had fun. Like I said, I will put links to our unboxing, Heather's latest bead sale, and her channel, so that you can go and follow that and check out the next live sale, or just look at the last live sale and send Heather a message on that. But I hope that you enjoyed this. I know I had fun, and I hope you didn't mind my version of a bracelet bash. It's only 5 instead of like the 7 or more that Beki does. But I think that I did pretty good. I think I did pretty good. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe, hit like, ring the bell so that you get the notifications of when we have new videos or when we're going live. And don't forget to comment. We love your comments. We love your feedback. We love when you notice that we missed something. Sometimes we catch it, sometimes we don't. I don't think I permanently missed anything on here. I know there were a couple of times I had to back up and fix a mistake I'd made. But I have really enjoyed this, and I hope that you did too. Happy beading, and don't forget to play. Bye.